No, save it. All right, so explanatory for the numbered post, critical thinking, mind-blowing post, December 14th, 2021. I'm going to read this really quick. Most people are busy digging for answers as to what is going on in the world while I'm in possession of the blueprint. They unknowingly pass up this information as some fluke or simply not possible. Not sure how many times I can say this or how many different ways to say it there might be. However, it's the freaking truth. Don Fum's mysterious directions are the blueprint to the elite's plans and system operations in a coded format. And might I add, this finding is backed up by Scripture. There is nothing hidden that will not be disclosed, and nothing concealed that will not be made known and brought to light. Luke 8:17. Since we are in the end of days now, what I'm speaking about is prophetic in nature. As it says, there is nothing hidden that will not be disclosed. This hidden aspect of our society is now being brought out into the light. What is hidden? They're using cryptography right in front of our faces to sell kids, drugs, cause climate disasters, bust black market operations, and cause negative interference in delegated sectors of our system, as well as target the 12 tribes of Israel, according to Don Fum. Period. This huge cryptographic piece of artwork produces telegraphs that are all different in nature, but for the most part are all the same. They're secret messages. And since there is nothing hidden that will not be disclosed and nothing concealed that will not be made known, there was bound to be someone like me who would be shown the truth of it in order that it be disclosed. When I first came into these directions, I was shown Jeremiah 5:15. Behold, I am bringing a distant my apologies. Behold, I am bringing a distant nation against you, O house of Israel, declares the Lord. It is an established nation, an ancient nation, a nation whose language you do not know and whose speech you do not understand. In this, I've been being shown how the confusion of languages enabled them to make one thing mean multiple things, and the true meaning was hidden so that only they would be able to know the truth. Maybe this is why the Delta system hosted by Cambridge exists now. Delta is an advanced blend of theory and practice that provides professional development for teachers of English. I mean, why does the whole world need the universal language known as English, unless it's to keep the people confused with language because one word means 10 different words depending on its usage? Heck, that's another post of its own. And needless to say, I'm still learning stuff related to that subject anyhow. Just saying this to say, for me, this whole piece of work put a whole new meaning on hidden in plain sight. I also can't help but feel like everyone who figures out what this book shows us will feel the same way. Mind destroyed because of what it all means. So be it. The cryptic plan is cryptic and not a line-by-line, action-by-action, deed-by-deed blueprint. It's a cryptic blueprint instead. But let's face it, people put tons of time into figuring out iPet Go 2, so why not take some time to dissect the elite's playbook? If people wanted to get to know more of what is coming instead of decrypting a movie that has endless amounts of symbolism frame by frame with no directions, why not decipher a text that has directions, proven factual events that have occurred, and all the key players listed? I don't know any other way than how I've been sharing and will share today to show how this could be done since I'm not on the inside. All I can do is apply what I've learned and show you how I learned it. Plus, I can show you how I continue to learn what is being said and how you can too. A good example here. A storm came through 6 states just a few days ago and tore up an entire city in Kentucky, as you can see in the photo below. So there we have it. Leveled. Mayfield, Kentucky looks leveled, doesn't it? I can only imagine the people involved are more than devastated. There are a number of places located in Kentucky that are also listed in the cipher. What do I mean? Well, here, let's look. In the cipher, there are multiple schools listed, technology companies, and institutions. There are also publications and keywords that would be associated with those publications. In Kentucky, there are multiple schools, such as high schools, liberal arts colleges, universities, dental art schools, law schools, elementary schools, and even former schools. Well, in order to keep this as simple as possible so any one of you can follow along with what I'm saying, let's look at the private liberal arts colleges, which are as follows. Private liberal arts colleges. Well, it goes on. There are 16 colleges, as you can see listed here: Alice Lloyd College, Asbury University, Bellarmine University, Berea College, Campbellsville University. We can find many of these universities in the guts of the cipher, but how would any one of you do that. Let's focus on one university first, Asbury University. AU is an immediate abbreviation we could quickly apply to identify this university in the guts of the cipher. AU is found in square nose, and if it had been placed in the cipher from the acronym abbreviation finders I used, it would look like this. And so we have a photo there of what it would look like. Right there, Asbury University. As you can see from the photo, that is square nose. Okay. Line item 401. You can see Asbury University is in Wilmore, Kentucky. This is found under tab square nose. This might be a bit confusing for anyone just beginning to learn. However, it is very important that I point this out. I actually input this university into that name to show that AU could easily be identified just by looking at the acronym and by knowing the acronyms included in the cipher. You see, when you look up the acronym AU, what comes up on freedictionary.com, it's what I used when I broke down the names into acronyms to derive the meanings for each acronym. It doesn't include Asbury University. Here is the list AU originally formed. I say this will be a long list you can easily scroll past if you just rather get to the point. So AU is gold, African Union, Air University, we go on. Asbury University is not in here. You can look for yourselves, it's not in there. Now, before I get to the point, you see AU does not say anything about Asbury University. Remember, AU is what I immediately see Asbury University as. Asbury University is in Wilmore, Kentucky, and would also be found in Colty-Quirps, because WK or KW is found in Colty-Quirps. So as you can see here, this is Colty-Quirps, and we see Wilmore, Kentucky, WK. I also input Wilmore, Kentucky into Colty-Quirps. It was not in the meaning of WK either. So why did I do that? Isn't that cheating and making the cipher say something it doesn't? No, my friends, you must remember, I am not on the inside. I did not attend college for cryptography. I went for computer networking and business. Not at all related. Before I go into the exact detail as to why I did this in this manner to make my point, I must remind you. All I know is this is a cryptic grid, and I took this grid and read the directions. Upon reading the directions listed in all the character names, I heard them say aerosols, gels, liquids, and it was, in my eyes, associated with the universities listed in the produced grid. By breaking down all the character names into acronyms, I was able to create a huge database of files with tens of thousands of line items. I spent time reading them, line item by line item like a book, and found they were actually giving directions. I wanted to apply the directions and see if I could find anything out. The directions said something like on Wednesday and Sunday for a list of universities, and there were some other countries' business listings. I wasn't sure what was what. Did the aerosols apply to the universities and these other listings, or just the universities? So I decided to try and find out. I went to mapcustomizer.com and found myself inputting all of the locations. The directions told me NASA, Worldview, and some other radar systems were applicable to this plan. So I opened up Worldview and did a side-by-side comparison. To my very own surprise, I matched the aerosol injections, which is cloud patterns, with and to it with very slight variations. My mouth hit the ground. Sweat began accumulating all over my body. I think I became really nervous, and my heart probably skipped a few beats. Do you understand how big of a deal that is? To match the aerosol injections, which is the cloud patterns, to a grid that came out of a book people believe makes Trump a time traveler? Seriously. Think about this. The cloud patterns match the freaking grid of those locations on the same day that the directions told me, with very small differences. To make matters worse, and that much more profound, no other day did that map match the clouds in the sky except for the 2 days that I was looking at, because that's what Don Fum's mysterious directions said to me. What the heck? You telling me that's not mind-blowing? Here's my proof. So there's a video titled Finished Sunday. It is this video here. You can see it is 19 minutes and 55 seconds long. We're not going over it. I'm just reading this because they always mess with my work. I want documentation proving that how I wrote this, and if it ends up changed later on, then here's the proof that they changed it. I noticed the differences that I could apply to the mapcustomizer.com grid produced and redid the video with the changes. It's titled 4 Minutes to Perfect. Boom. There's the video right there. 4 minutes to perfect. It's 4 minutes and 29 seconds long, and it was produced June 25th, 2019. There's no possible way I could have gotten that grid so close to the cloud patterns without this being the grid they're using. Now, the cipher itself has a thermal system and its tools, the gas and oil pipeline, railway, and even satellite systems encoded into all these names. It's freaking cryptic as heck. But the directions told me if I had the one-time tape, I'd be able to crack the code with ease. Someone has that one-time tape. Someone is following the directions. Actually, a whole bunch of someones. Teams of people would be working globally to do this deed. There are positions like cryptographic technician embedded into the pages that I'm sure would be working on these different telegraphs to send and receive signals. I put mind blown here. This might be where I get a little overwhelmed and confused, so much left to figure out, yet so much has already been figured out. Is it possible that there were acronyms they know about that aren't listed on freedictionary.com? I'd say so, because there were companies and stuff that I found myself with acronyms that were not listed in the acronym dictionary. Plus, as you can see from Asbury University, it's not listed in the freedictionary.com acronym database, but it can be found in 2 different names if we use the basic principles of abbreviations. This could easily prove to be a detrimental part of not being on the inside, big but. Let's keep it real. Can you really see how close that grid is to the cloud patterns and say there's nothing to this? You look at these videos. Just look at them. And if you can look at them and say anything like, oh, no, that's not close. Okay. All right. If you can, more power to you. Because I can't. I've proven this. I've followed directions. Read tons of stories, applied a bunch of the principles listed in the cipher and some other stuff. This told me White Island was going to blow. I did a live feed on it, and they turned around and messed up the sound so I didn't have the proof. Because the next day, it blew and killed 19. I also called an event in Alabama 2 weeks prior to it happening, and I've video proof of that, which is listed on this blog. They said 10 people were killed. I also was able to tell everyone that the Canary Islands was the start of things going downhill fast just after it blew. I knew it was going to blow 2 years prior to it blowing. If this is all a fluke, and I'm just some crazy chick, why then did I know these things? Let's face it, this book I've been so focused on to tell my testimony with is absolutely a great piece of cryptography. People are trained and educated in this field of making and breaking codes. What's even more profound about this learning I've been doing is the fact that I feel it's the ancient language that depicts the system they built for others to abide and follow in. If you don't follow Jonathan Kleck's work, then you're really missing out on the biggest news to hit the planet. Not only is Jesus coming back, Jesus has sent his messenger to ring the bell and gather the church prior to his return in order that he may hide the ones who've made themselves ready in his secret pavilion, just as he promised thousands of years ago. Might I add, and this isn't written in here, Barrel Brow says, rapture ready. So even the cipher says be rapture ready. Anyways, so that's not written in here, but we'll go on. Jonathan in his teachings talks about this secret language. He's really good at exposing this kingdom of Satan to the point where there is literally nothing they can do that Jonathan isn't aware of. As mentioned on one of the pages on this website, Jonathan has nothing to do with this work. He actually doesn't know that much of what he talks about. I found out just prior from the cipher. For instance, Canary Islands blew, and I knew they were going to blow the night Jonathan finished the last church he built behind his house. And that's the way it's been since the day I met Jonathan over a decade ago. It's interesting, too, and I didn't write this in here either, but it's interesting, too, that after it blew, Jonathan, one day on a video, he said, man, I don't know, maybe this is the start of things, is what he said. And I'm thinking, yes, it is. But anyways, he helped me wake up. He helped me see this world for what it is. He also impacted my life and understanding in a way that couldn't be described in words. The thing is, I didn't follow Jonathan because I liked him or was intrigued. I followed Jonathan because the Holy Spirit told me to. Jonathan has nothing to do with this, but he has everything to do with it. Without his knowledge being shared, my idiot self wouldn't have the slightest clue what the Holy Spirit was showing me. I was deaf, dumb, and spiritually blind, a sinner who was living in the vanity of my own mind. I can't necessarily say that I'm made straight now. However, I can say I've begun to see so much that I'm mind blown daily. This book alone tells me all so very much, and it will tell you too. If it weren't busy, if it weren't for the heavy censorship, the fact I'm targeted, and the fact that they're absolutely on my tail enough to destroy so much of my work, I'd take all my facts to Jonathan and tell him my testimony just because of how profound it is. You're probably asking how this helps you read the cipher and thinking it's all off subject to bring up Jonathan. That's simply not the case. The reason I brought him up is to say there's no way to understand all of this unless you understand the revelations Jonathan has been given and had given to us freely. Seriously. How can anyone see an entire system that has been put together essentially since the beginning of time for the reality of it if they don't even know this Satan has a kingdom? If you took this cipher and gave it to a cryptographic technician, they'd probably be inclined to hide the fact that it's cryptic in nature. But if they didn't, they still wouldn't believe that it's run by AI in more ways than one because there are many key players. Don Fum in Galepshka says intense hurricane, IH. There are 56 words in this cipher that I know are part of the cipher. There were a couple of names that I never broke down because someone kept getting into my computer and my files on Google and kept scrambling the data sets. I have over 30 spreadsheets to keep these files together. It was a freaking chore just fighting these people off to share anything. Hence why there are certain aspects of the cipher that are so important they will not let me share. Every time I try, either they fly over and make my devices stop, or they drive by and hit me with a dew that makes me sick. I say this in order for you to see how important it is for me to share my testimony and also show others what this means because the more the merrier. Plus, it makes my targeting that much more easier to bear from the disclosure of it. You see, this whole system of systems was put together to kill a third of the populace, and it's the same system that has been used to target me and tens of thousands of others. Intense hurricane, found in Galepshka and Mazanchik, tells us there will be intense hurricanes. The grid itself would give locations as to where these will happen. But because of the sabotage of my work, I'm unable to produce the grid with X locations being hit with hurricanes and Y locations being hit with chemical terrorism in a cohesive format outside of the cipher's contents. Now, don't twist my words. I can totally go into the cipher and tell you many facts, like there are places in America that will be hit with nukes. Using Asbury University can help me to prove this. Recently, an intense hurricane hit 6 states. According to the cipher, there are multiple thermal systems, particle accelerators, and energy systems coupled with radars being used to accomplish their nefarious deeds. There may be more I've missed. Every one of the line items in the public online cipher would give each one of us huge amounts of information to the whole system of how they would do this. It's cryptic, but it's not that hard to figure out. That's why I'm showing you and telling you how to read and understand this. I want everyone in the world to know about this plan. I want everyone to see how important this plan is to the lives of those who aren't on the inside. Why? Because you're a target. The fact that a hurricane spanned 6 states and leveled a freaking community should be concern enough for any citizen of the world to want to see if what I'm saying is true. Look at Galepshka and Mazanchik. It says intense hurricane. Then there are a huge list of locations. Oddly, if you put in any of those locations in Google and with the search term tornado and hurricane, you will either see they were hit or it was close by. Look at that. This cryptic plan isn't easy to figure out step-by-step instructions. But if I can easily say they're aiming to blow the volcano in the Canary Islands prior to it blowing, we can see that it's very possible to get facts out of the cipher, right? Below, you see in the photo Louisville, Kentucky. So you can see right here. Speed Art Museum, Louisville, Kentucky. A recent article came out titled Cultural Duality and Community Connection. So, just look at that really quick. We see that here. Something in the water. Okay. A recent article that came out titled Cultural Duality and Community Connection comes up with the search term Speed Art Museum. This term is listed in Master Cold Soul and is located in Kentucky. Well, check it out. Master Cold Soul is about these line items. Action memoranda. This tells me that when they're going to take action, there will be a reminder that will come out funny not funny, that this name is about the telegraph structure. As you can see, we're in Master Cold Cell right there, and it says text structure, temporary structure, target strength, total strength, telegraph system. Okay, and then look, it says theological studies. It's a journal. Theological studies. What's this? Arts and culture. Theological studies. Hello, folks. Hello. Okay, I'm sorry. Not trying to be rude. See, it says telegraph system. The name also shows action memorandum, alert message, and get this, toxic substance. Now, how freaking weird is it to see that this article link talks about something in the water? If you think that's a coincidence, you've not been paying attention. I'll go into more detail tomorrow. Make my work worthwhile, please. It won't last long. I need to warn as many people as possible as to what I know. I'll be explaining tomorrow the grid in more detail because there are a lot of little things that need to be pointed out. I'll have a couple posts on the infrastructure failure. If they come out before the next part of this, don't hold it against me. I'm a one-woman chick, heavily targeted, learning, sick, and trying to keep up with everything. And poor, by the way.